This meeting is being recorded. This meeting is being streamed.
Good morning, everyone. I think we're all here now. Thank you all for joining us here today to mark this special occasion, the launch of Ireland at Expo 2025. My name is Denise Ulsterk. I'm a third secretary here at the Department of Foreign Affairs. I've had the privilege of working on Expo with a wonderful team here at DFA, but also with many of you in this room here today. In the essence of Ireland Japan 2025, I'd like to remind us all of the importance of language and the invaluable connections that come of it, which is why I'll deliver these messages here today in English and Japanese. 皆さん、こんにちは。私は大阪デニーズと申します。私はアイルランド外務省の担当書士官で2025年日本国際博覧会に取り組んでいます。どうぞよろしくお願いします。本日は2025年日本国際博覧会におけるアイルランドの出展を記念してお集まりいただきたいと申します。アイルランド日本2025年本日において言語の重要性とその意義再確認させていただきたいと存じます。We are here today to launch Ireland at Expo 2025. The World Expo will be held over 6 months from April to October of next year. It will be located in Osaka, Kansai region of Japan. With 28 million projected visitors, Ireland will be one of 160 countries and international organizations present. We're fortunate enough to have a self-built pavilion designed by OPW architects, which will serve as the hub for our program of events and activities. And now, without further ado, I'd like to welcome the Tánaiste and Minister of Foreign Affairs and Defence, Micheál Martin.
Thank you, Denise, and Ambassador Maruyama, colleagues, Corda Galir. It's almost exactly 2 years now since, as Taoiseach, I visited Japan with Prime Minister Kishida. We entered a new phase in the relationship between our two countries. And the joint statement that we signed in Tokyo on the 20th of July 2022 promised to take relations between Ireland and Japan to a new and higher level. It commits both countries to deepening ties in trade and business, sport and youth exchanges, connectivity and tourism. It commits us to cooperation in both education and in research, in clean technology and life sciences, in food safety and veterinary medicine, and in the arts and culture. And it sets Ireland and Japan on course for strengthened bilateral and multilateral engagement in the years ahead. Today, we mark two important milestones in that adventure. The opening of Ireland House Tokyo next year and our substantial presence at World Expo Osaka in 2025 will represent the most significant step up in this important bilateral relationship since the opening of our embassy in Tokyo in 1973. Ireland and Japan have travelled a long way to get to this point. Although separated by great distance, there's much that connects us. We are island peoples, surrounded by the seas, and that means that we keep a fixed gaze on the wider world, even as we cherish our own values and traditions. And it is in that wider world that both Ireland and Japan seek new opportunities and new understandings, which has led us to share qualities of curiosity and imagination, creativity and invention. I was struck recently by the elegant brevity of an Irish saying, Bín siúlach scéalach, which was quoted at the funeral of that great ambassador for our culture in the broadest and truest sense, Micheál Martin. Bín siúlach scéalach means literally that those who travel have stories to tell. There is in fact an equally lyrical Japanese proverb, which I wouldn't do justice to if I attempted to articulate it, but it says much the same thing, and it means the frog in the well knows nothing of the ocean. It may be no coincidence that the traditional Japanese rakugo art of storytelling, with its long and complicated tales, is highly reminiscent of the art of the Irish Shanachie. Today, the Japanese and Irish peoples are citizens, peacemakers, and storytellers of a global community. Japan and Ireland share a deep respect for the past and an awareness of the ephemeral nature of existence. Our joints of literature, Ivan Boland, Seamus Heaney, and Brian Friel, for example, share with Haruki Murakami, Yoko Ogawa, and Yukio Mishima a quest to explore the human condition, the timeless questions of identity and exile, and the conflicts between tradition and modernity. Ambassador and friends, while we celebrate the many qualities that unite us, it is right that we also acknowledge other ways in which we are bound together, such as through our commitment to cooperate bilaterally and through multilateral channels to maintain and strengthen the rules-based international order and address global issues. Through our recent term on the United Nations Security Council, we know the importance of this work, and we support Japan on its current term on the Council. In our challenging global context, with multiplying threats to international peace and stability, the scourge of conflict in too many parts of our world, and the generational challenge that is climate change, these shared commitments are more important than ever. Friends, 2025 will be an exciting year for Ireland in Japan, one of our closest long-standing partners. Ireland House Tokyo and Expo 2025 in Osaka will transform Ireland's presence in Japan, delivering on the promise of the joint statement. Our economic relationship with Japan is already strong, but will, I believe, grow significantly in coming years. Japan is our second largest trading partner in the Asia-Pacific region, with annual two-way trade of over 23 billion euros. As like-minded peoples with natural synergies, there is very significant potential for increased trade and investment, for tourism, and for youth education and cultural exchange, all of which will contribute to a new affinity between our two peoples. Team Ireland will benefit enormously from the opening of Ireland House in Tokyo, which will house our embassy and the offices of our state agencies. This is the largest single capital investment by any Irish government outside of the state ever. And we want to pay tribute to the Secretary General for his dexterity and his enduring constructive relations with the Department of Public Expenditure, which myself and Pascal then just kind of preside over. But anyway, it will allow us to transform the way we represent Ireland in Japan and provide a state-of-the-art flagship facility to showcase Irish business culture and identity. I've tasked Ambassador Damien Cole and his team to lead a very ambitious programme of events in this superb facility when it opens. As part of our Ireland-Japan 2025 programme, Expo 2025 in Osaka, which runs from April to October, will help us to network and build new relationships in the dynamic Kansai region and beyond, and will link with the cultural programme in planning to mark the opening of Ireland House in Tokyo. This is the ambition of the Global Ireland Strategy in action, a demonstration of our commitment to dramatically increase our presence and impact in the world. The Global Ireland Strategy was launched in 2018 with the central ambition of doubling Ireland's impact and influence around the world by 2025. And under the strategy, we've opened or announced 27 new diplomatic missions, deepened our economic presences, and built a network of cultural attaches. Ireland House in Tokyo will itself be an ambitious manifestation of this new collaborative way of being present in important partner countries through a Team Ireland approach, working together in one location. And at Expo 2025, we will have an exceptionally strong programme in Osaka from April to October, which will lay foundations for decades to come. A temporary but important Ireland House next year in Osaka. Ambassador, I want to thank you and commend your government for the seriousness with which you have approached Expo 2025. World Expos, or World Fairs as they were once known, have been around since the mid-19th century. They have changed in character and content over the years, but the core idea of bringing the world together for 6 months every 5 years remains the same and retains the same symbolic importance. But I detect a new level of seriousness in Japan's approach to Expo 2025. Your theme, Designing Future Society for Our Lives, along with your alignment of the programme with the UN Strategic Development Goals, heralds a depth of intent that is welcome in these times of profound technological change, political uncertainty, new challenges to democratic institutions, and disregard for human suffering. It seems to me that by approaching Expo 2025 with such intent, you are drawing the World Expo concept closer to the ideals and purpose of the United Nations itself. And we are responding in kind. Our theme, Creativity Connects People, has been developed so as to engage at a high level with Japan's theme of designing future society for our lives. Our theme will facilitate what we expect to be a fruitful dialogue with Japan, and also engage seriously with the Osaka theme weeks, which will be organized around the strategic development goals. Our core message is one of optimism, that solutions to the problems of today are to be found in the imaginative, creative potential of every human being and every community. That the challenge is to develop mechanisms for the power of human imagination to be fully realized, a world in which schools, homes, universities, workplaces and communities encourage creativity, imagination and future thinking, and so expand our horizons of possibility. Let's remind ourselves for a moment of the extraordinary breadth and depth of what we will share during those 6 months of 2025. We will have visiting delegations, including government departments, state agencies, our cultural institutions and our universities throughout the eight theme weeks of Expo to engage with counterparts from Japan, the wider Asia-Pacific region and indeed the wider world. And together with our embassy, Ireland's Trade and Investment Promotion Agencies, IDA Ireland, Enterprise Ireland, Board BIA and Tourism Ireland will leverage the opportunities presented by Expo 2025 and the opening of Ireland House Tokyo to promote Ireland throughout Japan as a great country to visit, in which to invest and study, and with which to trade. We will create an exceptional visitor experience at Expo in our extraordinary OPW-designed Ireland House Pavilion, an experience that will convey a rich sense of our identity, our values, our culture, and diverse forms of contemporary as well as traditional artistic expression. We will bring our finest makers of objects, art, craft, and music. It is particularly welcome that our pavilion will be cladded in wood from a sustainable forest from my own home county of Cork. I didn't ask for that, but invariably, if you want the most sustainable forest, you come to Cork. And I would like to acknowledge the partnership of Quilta in making this happen. And I would also like to thank the superb team at the National Museum who are curating the unique visitor experience at our Ireland Pavilion. We will have an important cultural programme in both Ireland House Tokyo and at Expo, showing the work of artists and makers from Japan and Ireland, revealing connections and shared traditions and skills that we didn't previously know about. We will bring some of our best thinkers to Japan in 2025 to explore the full complexity and implications of human creativity, from neuroscience to social psychology, from education to human anthropology, from ethical considerations to political implications, and from the values of making to the value of innovation. I'm also delighted to announce that we will be bringing the winners of the 2025 Young Scientist competition to showcase their work at a special event at Expo in Osaka. We will be presenting a special Halloween festival with the Bram Stoker Festival, Dublin City Council, Macnas and Fáilte Ireland, promoting Ireland as the true home of Halloween. We'll be showcasing the wonderful musical talent from the flagship TG Ceathair Gradam Ceoil, along with a broad selection of traditional Irish musicians based in Japan. I would like to pay special thanks to the National Concert Hall for curating our Expo music programme, building on the great success of our experience at the Expo in Dubai. I'm very pleased that Literature Ireland will publish a series of 6 books in Japanese, featuring work by some of Ireland's finest writers, and the full collection will be presented at a special literary event exploring the connections between Japanese and Irish literature through the ages. Our Ireland Pavilion at Expo will be staffed by people from Ireland with an interest in Japan, and we will start the recruitment process in September, and we are encouraging students studying Japanese in Irish universities to apply. It will be an incredible opportunity to live and to work in Osaka throughout Expo 2025. In 2025, the relationship between our two countries will move to the next level on the basis of true long-standing friendship, a friendship that will be expressed through serious engagement in the issues that we confront as global citizens of an increasingly fragile world. Ireland House gives us a permanent strategic presence in Japan. Expo 2025 in Osaka enables us to engage intensively for 6 months with the people of Japan, to meet, to socialize, and to explore ideas and cultural experiences, and to work together on initiatives for the benefit of humanity. With the Ireland-Japan 2025 programme, we are realising a central commitment of the joint statement where it says that we will take necessary actions to deepen and expand bilateral cooperation between our two countries, based not just on mutual interest, but on shared fundamental values of freedom, democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. 2025 will represent a step change in our important relationship, one that we value greatly and wish to see grow to its full potential. I want to thank all of you for coming here today to join with us in launching this exciting programme and for your continued participation. Goribh míle míle maith agaibh go léir agus go naróig táille.
Tánaiste, thank you for your very inspiring words. Now, I'd like to give a warm welcome to His Excellency Norio Maruyama, Japanese Ambassador to Ireland.
Tánaiste, thank you very much for your magnificent speech, and we've continued your engagement to make vibrant our relations since 2022. Your visit was a milestone of our relations, and the joint statement is now become a kind of the Bible for those who want to really go ahead for the relation. Thank you very much for your engagement and commitment. And also, I'm grateful for the engagement and commitment that the Ireland government is now doing for the Expo 2025. Participating to Expo, we know very well, it's not so easy. We need to have a strong will, a strong people to conduct well. And I think that this time in 2025, Ireland Pavilion will be a great success one because you have everything and inside, people, cultures, and commitment, everything inside. I'm very proud to say that on behalf of the country I'm based upon, that the Ireland was one of the first country that has signed the contract. And I have acknowledged the President of John here, but he knows very well. We have a lot of discussion how we can swiftly sign this one, and you have a amount of difficulty to make it. But thank you very much. When we have committed, we can do. This is one of the examples that we see. So this is the spirit of the joint statement. And Ireland House, fantastic. I think that this is something that we need to have, and that because we want to have a showcase. So when we talk about Ireland, we need to go more on the, how can I say, visibility, what Ireland can do with Japan and what Ireland representing it. And I'm confident that you have so many things to catch the interest of the Japanese people. So we need to concentrate it, and we need to give a little bit impetus. And after that, things are going. The location is very good because you are in the middle of the Tokyo called Yotsuya. And what is good is that it's very near to the university. So the future may be, in the future, and student of Sofia will come in mass. Ireland, maybe UCD, and in order to be able that they can continue to enjoy the flavor of Ireland, that Ireland House for sure will provide. Today, I was very pleased to know that today's meeting is a launch of Ireland Japan 2025. So what Ireland and Japan can do together in 2025 what kind of opportunity we have. Because after several times reading the joint statement, we are committed to a lot of issues that need to be done together. And I can say that some of them are visible, some of them are not visible. The visibility is more clear from the people-to-people exchange. It's just to say that we get with people, and after that, if you have a SNS, we can upload it, and the visibility 100% assured. But this is the case of the business as well. It's more visible than the others because the business is always announcing some new investment. We talk about we are the number 2 in terms of the business partner, but in terms of the foreign direct investment, we are the fifth largest investor to Ireland and number 1 from Asia. And one point that I want to mention at this occasion. So, yes, thank you very much. And what I want to say that in this joint statement, we have 3 big pillars. One is the business and economic ties, and the other is the people-to-peoples, and the other one is a global stage. So we need to cooperate on the global stage. We are committed to multinationalism, Ireland, Japan, and we have a lot of you mentioned about the Security Council, the cooperation that we do. We very much appreciate the support we got from Ireland and like-minded countries, and we are sure that we can go ahead. And having this in mind, for me, 2025 provide a new type of the cooperation that we can do with Ireland. Think about, I have here the joint statement, and unfortunately it's not my speech, I'm a joint statement here. Don't worry about that, it's not so a joint statement, and I want to refer to the paragraph 16, for example, talking about the Sustainable Development Goal, climate change, poverty, and addiction. And I would like to say how I was impressed about your visit to Africa this year, to Kenya and Ethiopia, but also last year, South Africa and Mozambique. I remember at the lunch that you kindly organized for the diplomat last year for the commemoration day, you talk about the relation with Africa, how Africa important for Ireland, how Africa is, I don't remember the word, steadfast partner, wrong word, steadfast partner of Africa. We totally agree that you are impressively raising the profile high of Africa, to make Africa important agenda of the international community. Japan as well do a lot for this. As you may know, we started an international conference on African development in 1993, called the TICAD, Tokyo International Conference on African Development. This is the meeting that a lot of head of states or head of government of Africa gathered. The latest one, maybe in Japan, was roughly 30-40 of the state dignitaries we gathered to Japan. And together, and we are not the only organizer. Multilateralism would like to cooperate with the UN as well. UN, especially UNDP, World Bank is our co-organizer, and AUC as well. And this particular year, 2025, we will organize this meeting, this gathering in Japan, in Yokohama, August, from 20 to 22. It means that in the middle of the 6 months, you mentioned that we need to work closely with the Expo 2025. I think that the thinking together, the paragraph 16 and paragraph 14 as well, this is the peace and stability, international peace and stability, paragraph 14, and we have one interesting mentioning about promote the women, peace and security agenda. This is now the agenda of Japan. We have a lot of things to do together, and 2025 will provide us a lot of opportunity because we need to work closely according to joint statement and seek the opportunity to work together. 2025 will be decisive for Ireland and Japan to work closer, to go to the next chapter of the cooperation on the global stage. I have intention to stop here, but not. I heard a little about the president of one county, and he's very present here. I just want to mention one thing about the flavor coming from the Irish Island Pavilion, and that will be showcasing well, the beauty of Ireland. And the wood will come from Cork. And well, I acknowledge the presence of Joseph Walsh, and a very famous designer will make his contribution from Cork. And a lot of accent from this side is pronounced. I think that the former mayor should know about this, but I'm very happy to know that a lot of things is now coming together for the betterment of this pavilion and for the taste of the Japanese people to understand more that not exactly only Dublin, but people who are coming we go to Dublin, but also to know the diversity of the island, because the beauty is everywhere, and starting from Cork. So to make it and to close my remarks, and I want to say that if you want to have a kind of vibration, vibrate more as the present of this particular county. And I read a very interesting article in Irish Times talking about a very iconic musicians called Rory Gallagher. Rory Gallagher is very famous in Japan, and but people tendency to forget a little bit about something that didn't pass. But this announcement of the auctions of the guitar, the iconic guitar that have raised the profile of these wonderful musicians from Cork. So I don't know if we can combine together with the Expo 2025 or not, but this is one of the things that I want my friend to understand. Japanese people, a lot of people know Rory Gallagher. So, so think about that. And it will be a wonderful occasion, either for the pavilion or as an island house for the future. And now, thank you very much. I stop here.
ご講演ありがとうございました。この言葉はアイルランドと日本の豊かな関係を思い起こさせるものです。Ambassador, thank you for your speech, a warm reminder of the ever-flourishing relations between Ireland, Japan, and of course Cork. Now, I'd like to draw your attention to a short clip which will capture the creative minds and the dedicated individuals who are working hard behind the scenes to bring Ireland at Expo to life. Have we got sound? Sorry, technical issues.
Our vision really for the visitor experience at the pavilion is one that's relevant, that's engaging, and that is transformative. So in some ways, it's a huge opportunity for Ireland to present itself to the world, demonstrating creativity through a number of different art forms. But what we're really interested in is what can we do to demonstrate to Japanese visitors how that creativity permeates all aspects of what we do in Ireland, what's unique about us, how we bring that through our arts, through our culture, through technology, through science, and give people a little bit of a taster of how we're performing in the world and how we're reaching out globally with what we're doing.
In terms of success at Expo, success for me is that we have a wonderful pavilion that people enjoy and that they come out of that pavilion knowing more about Ireland than they did going into it, and that they're inspired to learn even more about us as a country.
Ireland's pavilion is inspired by the Celtic triple knot or triskelé. The triskelé is a form which is used since Neolithic times in Irish craft.
The design of the pavilion in Osaka emerged almost on the first day that we visited the site. I think what was really interesting about the site was it was very distinctive, it was very clear within the Expo site and very highly visible.
It's contextual in that the interlacing curves of the building resonate with the overall curves of the grand ring that encircles the Expo site. Also, the different levels that are created by the intersecting forms of the building create roof terraces that are accessible to visitors. This allows opportunities to create visual connections between the people on the roof terrace, the people on the grand ring, and then views towards the public plaza to the south of the building.
In terms of the expression of the pavilion, it's very much about timber, because we see timber as a traditional craft in Ireland, and there's a synergy also with the idea of Japanese craft.
Irish-grown Douglas fir, which is an evergreen conifer tree species, is being used to clad the outside of Ireland's National Pavilion at Expo 25. We saw the opportunity to be involved in this pavilion project as a wonderful opportunity to promote the use of Irish wood against the backdrop of a theme, creativity connects people.
Ireland is performing globally, both in life sciences, but also in terms of how we bring our arts and culture together. And it's at that boundary often of arts and science that you get the really rich creative ideas coming forward, where technology meets inspiration. And we're hoping that people get a sense of that within the pavilion.
This is quite exciting for us. And this year, we're particularly privileged and indeed proud as we all head off to Osaka in Japan 2025.
I'm working on some music for the pavilion, some music for the third room or third part of that pavilion. What I'd love to try and achieve with the music is to intrigue people as to where it came from, and to draw on some of the elements that I find fascinating within traditional Irish music.
It's exciting for us to be working on a project for Ireland at World Expo as a small studio in rural Ireland. Magnus Rin will be the first monumental sculpture which we will complete for the outdoors. The background of my studio is a craft studio, but trying to push the ambition of that craft into the 21st century and push the mastery, kind of meeting the science of the material to realize something on a scale and ambition that has not been possible before now.
What we bring to a conversation globally isn't necessarily huge scale in terms of numbers, but what it is it's genuine, heartfelt, real, true engagement that's really led by the people who care deeply about what it is that they want to do.
So this gives us a little taster of our journey towards Expo 2025. Now, next up, I'd like to invite our Commissioner General, Brian O'Brien, who will chair an impressive panel of speakers. And this will be followed by my colleague, Kate, who will give an overview of our online presence and Expo recruitment opportunities. And finally, Goseicho itadaki makoto ni arigatou gozaimasu.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Just to introduce myself, my name is Brian O'Brien and I'm the Commissioner General to Expo. I'm a career diplomat here in the Department of Foreign Affairs, and I've served overseas in Malawi, in India, and most recently as Consul General in Chicago. But my journey as a career diplomat began actually in Japan. Tomorrow, in fact, marks the 23rd anniversary of when I left Ireland to go to Japan on the Japan Exchange and Teaching Program, a program that still runs today, bringing young people from around the world to teach in Japan. I taught there for 2 years, and if you go to Japan and meet someone with a very strong Tyrone accent, you guess who their teacher was. But it was a very formative experience for me. It opened my eyes to the world. It was my first time outside of Europe. And it was also my first time to encounter this department. And as I say, it ultimately led to a career in diplomacy. So dear friends, I'm also delighted to have this role. We're here in Ivy House, this is the Department of Foreign Affairs. We often deal with turbulent issues. We're in turbulent times. So it's a great, great privilege to be working on such an exciting project as Expo. The Tánaiste mentioned it in his remarks, but at its heart, Expo is about bringing the world together around a positive agenda, looking at shared challenges that face humanity, really interrogating the UN Sustainable Development Goals and showcasing cultures and innovations from around our respective countries. So I feel very, very lucky indeed. I would also like to now invite our panelists to the stage. We have Ger Harvey, who's an architect at the Office of Public Work. Ger, if you'd like to come up to the stage here. Ger and his team have been working with us on Expo since 2022, but Ger is a veteran of a number of previous Expos. We also have Joseph Walsh, Irish designer, sculptor, artist from Cork. His work has been showcased around the world, from here in the National Gallery through to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. Joseph also hosts an annual Making In gathering at his studio down in Cork, bringing together creatives from around the world. So we look forward to talking about that. And then finally, I would like to invite to the stage Orla Feely. Orla is the president of University College Dublin, but prior to that, she was vice president for research, innovation and impact. She's also a professor of electronic engineering. But Orla is also a member of the judging panel for the BT Young Scientist and Technology exhibition, one of the largest and most successful school fairs of its time. And I acknowledge Tony Scott as well, who's here, who was the founder of that excellent competition. So a big welcome to you all. If you give like a Hans. And I would also just like to say we are being live streamed to Japan. Apologies, that may be causing some of the lag issues. So a big welcome to everyone. Yokoso irashaimase, who's following us from Tokyo and Osaka, whether that's our Team Ireland colleagues there or whether it's colleagues from the Expo Association. So, Ger, I'm going to actually begin with you. We just heard a little bit about the design in the video. So tell us more about the process that led to that captivating pavilion that we all saw on the screen just now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've seen a lot of the imagery there on the video, and it does kind of take me back to when we first visited the site, because a lot of the ideas for the pavilion kind of emerged out of that first visit. The scale of the island in Osaka is very big, where the whole master plan is, and we felt that we wanted something very distinctive for Ireland, such that, you know, expos tend to be kind of an array of lots of various styles and pavilions, and we really wanted Ireland to kind of punch above its weight and stand out. So, you know, we've done quite a few pavilions over the years, and our experience has shown that it kind of falls into three key areas. It's your exhibition, it's your performance space, and then it's your backup facilities that kind of make all of that happen. So we took those three forms and we began to kind of explore how we could do something expressive with those three spaces. So we came up with this kind of elliptical curved form, and we began to play with how they intersected to produce something very beautiful that you see there at the minute. The other issue that we kind of noted was that we had a great site. And it was very adjacent to that large timber grand ring that circumnavigates the site. So we wanted our building to have a kind of a synergy and to speak to that. So we used timber, the circular shapes, using the roof terraces. They all kind of tie in with its location.
Yeah, and I understand that wooden ring structure that brings us all together. The architectural concept is unity and diversity, but it's one of the largest wood structures in the world.
That's right.
And ours is clad with quilcha. Imelda Hurley is here from quilcha. How did that partnership come about?
Yeah, well, that was actually Kieran O'Connor, the state architect. In the OPW, we have quite a history of working with timber buildings, and he would have been involved in timber buildings from a long time ago. So that was our natural instinct. So Kieran got in touch with Quilcher, said, well, listen, is there a partnership to be had there? Because, you know, we want the expression of the Irish pavilion to speak to the kind of Japanese tradition that they have, and they have the wonderful timber craft tradition. So we wanted to be kind of part of that and part of that relationship. And I know Joseph kind of has that idea about that relationship between craft in Japan and craft in Ireland. So we very much wanted to be part of that in the way we developed it.
Yeah, no, it has come off very well. There are three ellipses in the pavilion. Can you tell us a little bit about what will be in each room, effectively 3 rooms open to the general public?
So the first ellipse is really about your entrance and your orientation. where is Ireland, what is Ireland, etc., etc. Then when we move into the rear ellipse, that's going to be an exhibition space in itself, and Joseph will talk about that. And then when we go into the third ellipse, it is a double height space. So that's the largest space we have. And that's going to be both multifunctional, but also it's all about performance. We've certainly seen from previous expos, you know, you can have very good fixed exhibition, but if you have something live that can engage people, that is the real secret. And that is what captures everyone's imagination. So we developed this space that has that flexibility.
Yeah, and as part of this process, you've been part of a creative team. It really is Team Ireland coming together. How has that been for you? And I just would like to acknowledge Lynn Scarf from the National Museum, who's been a key partner for us as well. Unfortunately, Lynn is not here today, but how have you found that process, sitting with ourselves in the Department of Foreign Affairs? We have the Cultural Director, Eugene Downs, we have the National Concert Hall, all involved in the creative process. How's that been for you, Ger?
It's great, and it's not dissimilar to the way we develop buildings, any building, whether it's a courthouse or a Garda station or any public facility. You know, it's all about that collaboration, you know, getting a sense of what is the objective of the building, what is the building going to say about Ireland, and marrying that with the functionality that has to be achieved. And also, you know, it's a modest size pavilion, so we're trying to maximize our value out of it, and that's key, really.
Yeah. But while it's a modest size, we also have a space upstairs for bespoke events for the wider Team Ireland to use as an Ireland House. Can you tell us a little bit about the upstairs space and the terraces?
Yeah, so we have an upstairs kind of VIP type space that can be used for exhibitions and for invited guests, and that actually spills out onto a terrace. And what's very interesting about the location of the site is that not only is it close to this grand ring, but it also addresses one of the main public spaces in the campus. And I think that is going to be a real benefit, to be able to have these terraces that you can perform from, but also you can view the events in the main square. I think that's what's really brilliant about the site that we have.
Yeah, wonderful. And just to say, in that site, we've actually, on that second floor, we've commissioned a set of Quaidan prints. I see Kieran here from Quaidan, and we'll be telling the story of Lafcadio O'Hearn. I see Agnes here as well from the Lafcadio O'Hearn Gardens, which is a real opportunity for us to deliver targeted messages for that 6 months in Osaka. Again, obviously, getting this thing finished, it has to be finished on the 13th of April. How are we doing?
We're doing very well, as I say. No, things have gone very well. You know, we've had a great contact in Japan, who has been very key, really, to that relationship. Because finding a contractor in Japan when we're so remote, you know, has been a challenge. You know, we went through a procurement process. We now have a contractor, TSB Tayo, on site as we speak. As was said there, we were one of the first countries to start on site, which is great. We're actually ahead of schedule. You'll be pleased to hear. We're about 55% complete, so we're over halfway, and we're on target to be hopefully one of the first to be finished by the end of the year.
Yeah, well, that is great. It has been wonderful to be part of that Team Ireland approach as we've come together to design and create this building. But finally, what will happen at the end of Expo? What is going to happen to this beautiful creation at the end of it?
That's often a question that's raised in terms of, particularly in the sustainability space. So we've designed this building in such a way that it's fully dismantleable. So we'll be able to dismantle the building and reuse the components of it. And we've developed that kind of philosophy over a few pavilions now, most notably in Milan in 2015, where we won the Sustainability Award because we were able to dismantle that pavilion. We reused it in an exhibition, we reused it in a local school. So we're developing that principle with the contractor in this case. So the pavilion is fully dismantleable, and we're working with Tayo as we speak to find a new home for those components post the exhibition.
Thanks, Chair. Well, I might move over to you now, Joseph. I mean, our theme at Expo is creativity connects people. And your work and your experience over the years really embodies that. You're a maker, you're a designer, but you also run a Making In seminar in Cork, bringing together creatives from around the world and Japan. Can you tell us a little bit about Making In, Joseph?
Thank you, Brian. So we started Making in 2017, and very simple idea. Over the history of my workshop, we've had the good fortune to have more senior makers come in and help with training and developing skills of my team. Notably, Robert Ingham, who is principal of a school in England, John Makepeace's School of Craftsmen, and Robert would have come over and back about 4 times a year for 15 years. And, you know, really invaluable in terms of developing a kind of core workshop vocabulary or way of making. And when Robert came, this is the long version of the stories, isn't it? But when Robert came, the very first time he came to the workshop, first of all, he took a huge sense of responsibility for it. He just, you know, he's positively stressed about the kind of ambition of the projects we're trying to make. And I was quite young at the time, about 2004. And he visited, and I had a team of fairly young craftsmen from France, Germany, and I had one maker from Japan. And Robert got us all together. And what was happening at that point is we were kind of in a disagreement. You know, the French thought the way they were trained was the best. The Japanese didn't say anything, they just did it their way. I was like, I'm the boss, you must do it my way. It wasn't working very well. So Robert came in and he kind of gathered the team together and he said, you know, everything you're making here is new. Yeah. So you can't say what's absolutely the right way to do it. Everything we're making is new. But he said, you know, everybody had a different background and training. And by sharing those skills and experience, we could find the best way to make each new piece. And it changed the culture of the workshop. The team started to share tools. So the Japanese wood planes started to appear on the French makers' tool boards and vice versa. And we created a culture which exists in the workshop today of sharing skills and experience and open to evolving skills. So as years went on, we started to open Robert's workshops to other craftspeople attending. And that eventually led to this idea in 2017 of creating a small seminar in the workshop to invite artists, architects, makers from around the world to talk about what they're making now and why, in response to the resources they have around them or the needs that are around them. And so it was a very small, modest undertaking, but I think it was in a workshop, which is a place where creatives are more comfortable talking about failure and the things that don't go to plan, and even if one wanted to do something this way, it didn't turn out. So it led to a kind of particular conversation. And really, I can't say that I had any great vision for it becoming what it is today. It's just to bring creative people together, and it creates its own momentum. So,
and there's a strong connection with Japan through that. I understand there are a number of Japanese people from the workshop here today. You're very, very welcome.
Tetsui, Keisuke, Mei, and Kei, who's visiting from Japan, are here with me. But over the years, we had, you know, 1 or 2 speakers each year from Japan. Of course, Japan is one of the great places in the world in terms of craft skill, in terms of retaining very ancient skills, but also very brave about the future. So I think that's one of the things that's very interesting for Ireland in going to Japan, and where we're all at in the world today is being able to connect so far back into the past with lived culture. I believe the further you can go back, the further you can project forward. And I think that's an interesting conversation for Ireland and Japan.
And it's key for us because, again, we're rooted in tradition, but we're looking towards the future. Yeah. And in that sense, your beautiful Magnus sculpture that will be showcased outside of our pavilion at Expo, which we hope will be a focal point for everybody on that site. It really is at the cutting edge of innovation, Joseph.
Yeah, it's an ambitious piece. It's not quite on schedule as...
Don't tell me that.
Sure, it seems very confident around programming, so I might need some advice on it. But yes, it's ambitious, and hopefully it will be on time.
Yeah. And as you said, there's a strong culture of making in Japan and protecting that craftsmanship. I know Japan has actually led the world at UNESCO on that intangible cultural heritage of making. And I see that myself, having been out there in general terms of intangible cultural heritage. Just last week, actually, set dancing was added to the list. I love set dancing. Gaelic football was added to the list. Hurling has always been on the list. And my God, if we had an experience of wonderful cultural heritage, it was last week. But that's really important to our Japanese visitors. You would say, Joseph, as well, that tradition of making and that tradition of cultural heritage will be important to the people that come to our pavilion.
Yeah, I mean, other people, probably Ambassador, could speak in a more informed way about this, but certainly through my experience of working with my colleagues from Japan, but not just my Japanese colleagues, also a lot of our clients that have commissioned work over the years. It's something that I've kind of realized probably a little bit later, actually, or more recently, is that really the objective is to focus on the intangible part of making, and thinking of the work that comes out of that as more evidence that culture exists. If we get too hung up on the end object, on the making of this bottle, then the focus becomes about the efficiency of realizing the bottle. And then you end up making lots of bottles and you try to sell them to everybody in the world, and then you get into these environmental crises that we have. And it's not solving anything. So I quite love the theme of both the Japanese theme for Expo and Ireland's response, which is, not this kind of linear transactional relationship, but this idea of circularity. And obviously, looking at the sustainability in the cycle of everything. And I think that's a really rich conversation around making. And thinking about it as this cultural activity that supports a quality of life, but in a circular motion rather than this transactional one, which a lot of the world has been caught up in, probably since the World Fairs began, promoting innovation, manufacture, consume, versus inspire, make, appreciate in a kind of more circular motion.
And that's a key point, that we're really looking at sustainability, and obviously they're rooted in the Sustainable Development Goals. And Ireland has a wonderful story to tell there. Through our creativity, we were part of our ambassador at the time, David Donoghue, and along with Kenya, negotiated those Sustainable Development Goals. So that's very much a story that we will be reflecting on in Japan itself. Thank you, Joseph. I'll turn to you, Orla, now as president of UCD. The Tánaiste reference, the joint statement that we have with Japan, it was signed almost 2 years ago. I acknowledge Paul Kavanagh, who would have been very much holding the pen on that statement at the time. It's a very comprehensive statement, but it includes a key element to increase institutional, academic and student exchanges across the education sector. I mean, from your perspective, from the perspective of higher education, how do we, as the wider Team Ireland, fully leverage that opportunity provided by Expo?
Thanks very much, Brian, and it is a fantastic opportunity. I want to compliment, first of all, my colleagues on beautiful design of this pavilion. It's really remarkable, but when I looked at it, I didn't see the triple knot, the triskelé. I'm an engineer, and I saw a Venn diagram. And I don't know if you saw a clip that has gone viral of Kamala Harris talking about it with great enthusiasm of her love for Venn diagrams. So I think Venn diagrams are having a moment. But Venn diagrams, of course, are all about the intersection and the intersection within the intersection. And I think that is very, very fitting, because I think there's so much that we're trying to achieve here through the opening of the Ireland House, through the pavilion at the Expo. So I think there is an opportunity for Ireland here to bring the totality of our story to our friends in Japan. And I think that is very important for me, that totality. So the creativity is so important for me, the technology and innovation and science and education also so important, such an overlap with the creativity. And then, of course, you've got the people connecting all of these. So this opportunity to bring the Ireland story in all its many manifestations to Japan, remembering that, we are a small country, very, very far away. We have great cultural and scientific and economic clout around the world, which is recognized, but not universally. And I'm sure for very, very many people in Japan, they would be very, very uncertain as to where exactly Ireland is, what exactly our story is. So to have the opportunity to bring that story, to lead, I think, appropriately with our culture, which is such an important part of our essence, but through that also to bring in the story of our education offerings, of our technology offerings, of our trade offerings, I think that's a fantastic opportunity for us.
Indeed, and we've 8 theme weeks at Expo, and that is something that we really hope to engage with through programming with the wider Team Ireland. And I use that in its very widest sense. Of course, it's the Department of Foreign Affairs, it's government departments, it's state agencies, but it's the higher education authorities. But it's all the way through to the public and on all the organisations that we have. We have a real opportunity to engage with Japan.
We do, yes.
The cohort coming to Expo, it's expected, and it was actually my colleague from Enterprise Ireland in Tokyo was pointing this out, will be, a lot of them will be university students, elementary school students, high school students. We've a real opportunity to raise our visibility in Japan and to plant the sense of Ireland at Expo.
Yes, yes. And we in UCD, I mean, we're a very globally facing university, and we have links with pretty much all of the major universities in Japan, the University of Tokyo, Waseda, Osaka itself, Hokkaido, Kyoto. So we've got great links in. We've got MOUs with many of them. We've got student exchange programs with many of them. And we really want to build on them, both in our education, in student exchange, and in research. I know that last year, Prime Minister Kishida came out with a government desire to grow the number of Japanese students who study abroad and the number of students from outside Japan who come in to study in Japan. I think that he wants by 2033 to 500,000 students from Japan studying outside the country, and about the same number, maybe 400,000 coming from outside the country into Japan. And we would be so supportive of that ambition. We see such value in student exchange. I think it's such a wonderful way of bringing minds together at this, fraught time for the world. And of course, similarly in research. So we're so excited about the prospect of this audience.
And I mean, culture, as we've spoken about, is a calling card for Ireland. When I was in Tokyo, I had the great opportunity to attend the Kyoto this weekend, which was incredible. But what struck me was there were so many young people engaging with Irish music and dance who had no connection to Ireland, and in some cases didn't even speak English. But it was a real cultural touchstone for them. Is that an opportunity to attract people to Ireland?
It absolutely is, and I'm delighted that we are leading with that. Also, we see among our student body, among my children's generation, a real love of Japanese culture also, even among many Irish students who've never been to Japan. There is something about the culture that resonates. So there's so much of which we can do culturally.
And also, I couldn't let this panel lapse without talking about the BT Young Scientist competition. I mean, you're on the judging panel as the Tánaiste mentioned in his remarks. We're going to bring the winners out to Japan.
I know.
As we always say when we're talking about Expo as our team, that is not just about showcasing, it's about going out to learn. But with this, we can do both.
We can.
Can you tell us about the Young Scientist competition and what do you think that will bring to Expo?
And I'm sure most people in the room will know about the Young Scientist competition. It was founded co-founded by my great friend and colleague, Professor Dr. Tony Scott, who's in the front row. So Tony co-founded the exhibition in 1965. And he still sits around the judging panel, 60 years on, sits around the judging table. I'm fortunate enough to be at the table with him. He's going out, he's interviewing the students, he's coming back full of energy and excitement about what he hears. And you can't not be energized and excited every January, that dark, week after the Christmas festivities are over. For many of us, it is the most exciting week of the year when you get to go to the RDS and see these brilliant, creative young minds, many of whom, people like Patrick Collison at Stripe, have gone on to extraordinary things based on a love of science and technology. Many others have gone on to different career paths, but have taken that love of science and technology into whatever they've done in their lives. So to be able to bring that energy and showcase that, really remarkable. This is absolutely unique on a global stage to have had the continuity and the impact of this program for so long. So to be bringing that out as part of our pavilion is just inspired. I'm absolutely delighted.
Really, and I have to say, obviously, I'm looking forward to welcoming all of our ministers and people from around the system. But I'm particularly excited about welcoming the Young Scientists to Osaka. I think that's going to be wonderful.
And can I say one extra thing to compliment His Excellency, the Ambassador, who is such a great friend. I mean, you talk about connecting people, and the Ambassador does such a remarkable job. He's hosted myself and UCD researchers in his beautiful residence. He takes such an interest in research connections, in education connections, in trade. I know, Ambassador, you go out to schools a lot, particularly schools in locations where there is Japanese investment. So we are so fortunate to have you as a representative of your country here in Ireland.
Well, we all echo those remarks, but I think it's time to wrap up now. But I just want to finish with a couple of concluding remarks from my side anyway. I mean, this is a Global Ireland initiative. It's all of Team Ireland coming together. But as I want you all to think about it as in the wider Team Ireland as well. Please all know that we are open to working with you. We really have an opportunity for 6 months to make an impression in Japan, increase our visibility. But for me, the key part of it is the legacy of relationships, building relationships that will last into the next decade. But we're not building those from scratch. We have strong foundations led by our embassy team in Tokyo. We have former Ambassador Barrington here as well, former Ambassador Kavanagh. So it is my job to really, along with Ambassador Cole, to bring that relationship from strength to strength. So I look forward to working with you all in the year to come. I also want to thank my own team, Sumpton, Eve, Kate, Denise, Aisling, and the wider Globec team for helping pulling this together. Our colleagues in Asia Pacific unit, our cultural team as well, led by Eugene Downs, our comms team under Sinead. Thank you very, very much for all your help and support in pulling together today together. And lastly, I just want to acknowledge the DGs that are the project sponsors of the Expo project. We have Sheila Maguire and we have John Concannon. And just with John Concannon, I just want to thank you for your energy, your imagination, your creativity around Expo. John will soon be departing for Canada, but we will miss him dearly, and we look forward to working with his successor, Colin Hayes, who's in the room as well. So that's that from me. I want to thank our panelists for a very thought-provoking discussion. You gave me a lot of homework, but I look forward to continuing the discussions with you and with everybody in the room. And I will now hand over to my colleague, Kate, to tell you how to engage with Expo in the future over the next month. So thank you very much. Goramila Mayaga.
My name is Kate Cosgrave, and I'm an administrative officer in the Department of Foreign Affairs, where I'm fortunate enough to be working on the Expo team. 皆さん、こんにちは。私はコスグレイブ・ケイトと申します。私はアイルランド外務省で2025年日本国際博覧会に取り組んでいます。どうぞよろしくお願いします。We're close to wrapping up our event, but before we do, we have some final announcements. First of all, we would like to spread awareness of some exciting job opportunities that we have coming up at the Ireland House Pavilion at Expo in 2025. So in autumn, we will be launching a recruitment campaign for pavilion staff. You can visit ireland.ie/expo to register your interest in the campaign and receive the latest updates. You can also visit ireland.ie/expo to find further information about any of the elements of Ireland at Expo 2025 that were discussed this morning. In addition to the website, Ireland at Expo is live across social media. We are Ireland at Expo on X, Instagram, and Facebook. So please do follow us and reshare our content. Yes, we wish to extend our thanks again to all of the speakers from this morning. And of course, thank you to all of you who have joined us today, both in the room and via the live stream. 本日はこのイベントに来てくれた皆さん、そしてライブストリームに参加した皆さん、誠にありがとうございました。Finally, you'll be delighted to know the speaking portion of the morning is over, but we do have a treat for you. I have the very great pleasure to now introduce Caoimhín O'Reilly, who will play a piece for us. Caoimhín is a musician and a composer, and we're very fortunate to have him working with us on the aural and musical elements of the visitor experience. at the Ireland House Pavilion. So he will play a piece now called The Wild Geese.
Dear friends, that concludes today's event. And just again, one more bullabus for Cuivine O'Rahal, that was just incredible.